Welcome back to the Grey Lounge with breaking news, arguably the biggest controversy we've had since we started doing these programmes. The question this morning is, referring back to yesterday's programme, why is square slice so called when it's actually rectangular?
Actually, I'm going to correct you again. Having done some homework, you won't be surprised to hear, yesterday, I've now found out that it's not rectangular even. It's a polygon.
It's a polygon?
Yes. It's four-sided, but it doesn't have equal sides.
So
a square would have four equal sides.
Yes,
agreed?
Yes.
A rectangle would be two sides the same and the other two sides the same. But the polygon, the square slice, when you take it on the bottom, it actually goes up like that, tapers to the top and then across. So it's more a polygon. But it's called square slice because it's easy to say than polygon slice or rectangle slice.
And as we speak, we're looking around Qatar to try to find somebody to make us a piece of square slice. Not that I'll be partaking as a non-meat eater, but it would be nice to see
we'll
what
find
you
them.
make of
It's on the way tomorrow.
Excellent. Headlines from the UK press. The Premier League's new look revealed yesterday. Just 300 allowed into stadiums. Press conferences on video call. But the really good news is that VAR will be working at Stockley Park because the assistants will be spread across different rooms to ensure their safety.
Great.
So VAR is back.
Fantastic.
Andrew.
That's cheered me up.
Mentioned Matty Longstaff yesterday, saying
we
that he
did.
was on his way to Udinese. What I didn't spot, was that Udinese are owned by the Pozzos, who happen to own...
Watford.
Correct.
So you mean he's on his way to Watford?
Well, that's what Newcastle suspect, yeah. Manchester City tell us that they are set for a lengthy UEFA ban appeal, so that will cause chaos come the end of the season, should we get there this year, because we'll have no idea who qualifies in the fourth place for the Champions League
they'll be
until that is settled.
Yeah, if they appeal it down the line, and come August, Richard, when it's finished, and the new European season is starting, then they surely can't ban them if there's appeal ongoing. They'll have to play in the Champions League next year.
That could very well be the case, which means I was right all along. We could have just reset the clock to last August and started again with the very same contenders involved. Top Flight 1, Television 0, this from the Daily Mail. I'm pleased to say, I have to say to be serious, that the Premier League have said no to miking coaches, no to technical area access, no to dressing rooms.
Agreed.
Why? I mean, it was just a chance's opportunity, I felt.
Yeah, well, the one thing they haven't agreed on just yet, I noticed today, was they're asking for cameras down tunnels, which we've never thought was a good idea either, but they haven't quite said no to that yet.
Well, it's a difficult one, that, Andy, because Manchester City and Spurs now sell tunnel access to their gold season ticket holders, don't they? So,
yeah, but there's a difference between having a fan there watching than having a camera there.
I'm not sure.
Millions watching.
But listen, I'm with you. That was always, beyond the tunnel was always the workplace of those that were entertaining, and I still believe that to be the case. This is a little controversial. Cut adrift, headline in the Mail. The Premier League have yet to offer EFL and the pyramid beneath them any kind of help financially, which was apparently one of the factors the government said, or rather why the government said, yes, you can come back if that happens.
Yeah.
Now, I'd be interested in your thoughts on this, Andrew, because this is a subject that we've discussed often. This one's entitled Sobby Charlton from the Daily Mirror today. Lee Bowyer reveals his hurt as his top striker refuses to play for the rest of the season. And the reason he refuses to play is...
His contract's up.
Yes. Yes.
It's his choice. Wouldn't be mine. Would be yours. Wouldn't be mine.
I would not be playing on beyond June the 30th. I've said this so often. Lee Bowyer says here, he says, I find it difficult. I would play. It's making my life really difficult, but I understand Lyle. He's got to think about his future.
Absolutely.
Yes, he has.
Yeah. Listen, there's a lot of players whose contracts are up at June the 30th will be playing after it. There's some who won't.
I wouldn't.
I know you wouldn't. Well, we know that. I would.
The German Football Association have decided not to press charges against Jadon Sancho for the T-shirt.
Yeah, right thing.
Well, it is the right thing, but all I would offer by way of a thought is who do you, and by the way, Gianni Infantino, I think, was one of the prime movers behind this decision, and we all agree it's the right thing. But where do we draw the line? What's going forward is the right thing?
Well, the idea they banned it, wasn't it, was to stop people making political statements and things like that.
Yes.
Yeah, I know.
You see, it's like Lewis Hamilton, who's getting a great deal of credit right now for talking about the subject, and quite right. He's got a voice that carries resonance. But his critics also point out he's said nothing about the Bahrain Grand Prix down the years, and Again, this is an observation. I make no comment at all. But same question. Where's the line? Saints cast doubt over Pierre role. Ralph Hasenhüttl has fired a warning across his captain's bows. That captain is, of course, Pierre-Emile Højbjerg.
Yeah.
Who said, I might not sign a new contract. And Hasenhüttl has said, well, we'll take the captain's armband off you. No.
I'm sure that will worry him. Goodness me. I thought we were going to say, well, we'll throw you in the reserves and fine you. We'll take the armband off you.
Spurs rocked by a positive test.
Yep.
Player whoever it is, goes into a 7-day lockdown.
Yep.
And here's one for you, Andy. Carlo Ancelotti, responsible for giving Buffon a regular game at Parma when he was 17, Kaka a platform at AC Milan when he was 21. He's found another one.
I know he is.
19-year-old Everton forward whose name is, I can't find it. You'll have to, Anthony Gordon. Keep your eyes out for Anthony Gordon, 19-year-old Everton starlet that Carlo has fallen.
He'll get a chance, that's for sure.
Well, yeah, we hope so.
Yeah.
9 people at 6 clubs test positive for coronavirus in the EFL. I don't think they'll start again.
The EFL?
Yeah, I don't think they'll start. Oh, and here's one that I had to bring up, and it made me chuckle this morning. Jesse Lingard, who I know is a player that you admire a lot, has been asking his teammates, Chris Smalling and Young, about life in Italy because he fancies an AC Milan transfer. I think it's more likely he's planning a holiday. Don't you?
It's nice that he can do that, Jesse. He's had such a good couple of seasons.
Yeah.
You know, I think Milan would definitely be after him.
Do you think so?
I think
would they be the only foreign club that would?
No, I think there'll be a list as long as your arm, I would think. I'd get ready for it. No, sorry.
Right, let's introduce you to our guest this morning. A fellow who has been a victim of COVID-19. He was the second manager to lose his job during lockdown. The first, of course, Graham Jones at Luton, replaced subsequently by Nathan. And I didn't think that had much to do with COVID-19 at Luton. No. But Nigel Clough and his coaching team walked away from Burton Albion and Nigel Jones. Oh, my goodness.
No, you said Nigel. Who's that? Who is that?
In disguise.
Oh, it's Nigel. No. Goodness me. That was a shock, Nigel.
You know the obvious observation, Nigel. If your old fella saw you like that, he'd send you back with a razor.
Without a doubt. I once tried to grow one on pre-season, and he said, if you don't have a shave, you're not getting on the bus.
He wasn't a lover of...
That was just pre-season.
He wasn't a lover of facial hair then, the old man, no?
No, not particularly.
So why have you done it?
Got away with it because he was his favourite son.
Why have you done it, Nigel?
Well, we're short of a lot of things in the shops over here. You know, razors is one of them. I keep telling you, can't get razors anywhere.
You see, your mistake obviously was you didn't play squash, and Gary Birtles did.
Yeah,
that made the difference.
Exactly. Yeah, that was that was one of the reasons. He just liked Gary better anyway. That was it. He was a better player and everything.
I said to Nigel when I contacted him, I said, listen, I just want to talk about Nigel Clough for a change, not the old fella. And here we are already. So let's just talk about Nigel. I'm not quite sure I believed everything I read in the papers about your departure from Burton. Nigel, what happened?
Well, that was it. We were faced, as you know, over here with a lot of problems in football, especially at the lower leagues. And we had to make savings on the staff side. And we looked at it for a good few weeks and looked at figures and everything. And in the end, the only solution to make the necessary savings was for us to go, three of us to go. And otherwise there would have been, I think, wholesale sort of changes and people leaving. So we just thought it was in the best interest of everybody if that happened.
I'm guessing, Nigel, that the knowledge you have of those leagues down there, that Burton aren't the only club that face that sort of financial ruin.
Not at all. We've just I think they've faced it a little bit earlier than most. I think we've had advance payments from the Premier League, which are all very welcome, but don't solve the problem down the line. No. You're just going to run out of money in September, October or January, whenever that money was then due to be paid. So it's not really solved the problem, and been on a few calls with other League One and League Two managers, and there's quite a few problems out there, I think, with a lot of the lower league clubs.
Yeah, it's worth pointing out that money that the Premier League have advanced was due anyway. Yeah. They've just brought forward the date. So there's been no extra financial help at all. How bad do you actually think it is, Nigel?
Well, I hope no clubs will go out of business, and that's the main thing, and that's the chairman's main rationale when we went into this. You know, we're not the biggest club before this, and we weren't exactly sparkling before financially. So then this comes along, and it just causes the problem. And he said all along, my main priority is that there's a club in existence when we come out of this. And also he said was, if you could tell me when the next time a supporter goes through the turnstile, or the next time we can put a function on, or the next time we can have sponsors, then we can make a plan. But of course nobody can tell you that.
No.
See, for you and the guys that went, Nigel, is there a way back? I'm saying, you say you've gone for now, and you did that to help the club financially. When it starts again, the lower leagues, is there a way back in to you for Burton, or is that gone?
No, I think that's gone now. I think it'll be a completely different financial model for Burton and for similar clubs as well. And they have to make savings, and they have to cut costs and everything, and cut the cloth accordingly. And this is one of the ways. It's pretty sad because, you know, a 15-year association with the club.
Yeah.
We're all a bit sad about it, but it was not much choice really. It was the only solution.
Yeah, it's your club in so many ways.
Yeah.
You're right. Andy Holt, the owner at Altrincham, Nigel, said, and there's still no decision on how to finish League One, which his team plays in, but he said, if I've got 500,000 left and that's about it, I'd rather be planning for next season than spend it getting through this. So is it ultimately the right decision then? Perhaps Championship League One stop playing?
I'm not sure about the Championship. I think they might have the resources to keep going. But I think League One, League Two have made that decision, and a couple of selfless clubs, you know, like Port Vale and Bradford, voted in favour of it, despite being close to the playoffs. What the problem is in League One, it's much tighter, and all the way down to about halfway, you've got so many teams in contention of the playoffs, and big clubs as well. And there's a lot of self-interest out there in football at the moment, which you won't be surprised to hear. And there's a lot of clubs obviously voting for what's best for them, and not necessarily what's best for football. I don't think League One will get going again in the regular season, maybe the playoffs and so on. But I hope the Championship can follow the Premier League's lead, and they can complete the season.
Yeah, League One, Kesey's only looking after himself now. Coventry are in the top two. He wants it up. Cancel the season now. Get the Sky Blues up a division. Selfish.
Under any formula, weighted or otherwise, Coventry City are top of League One, 5 points clear, with a game in hand, having placed themselves perfectly. The run could not have been better, and sit waiting for someone else. And I'm quite sure that Mark Robbins and his coaching staff will accept whatever decision is ultimately made.
I was going to ask Nigel about Nigel. Can I ask you just quickly about? I won't dwell on Coventry because there's a lot more better things to talk about. But talking about them, Richard's always trumpeting another young British manager, Mark Robbins. He mentioned him there.
Top man.
How impressed have you been with what he's done there?
Oh, brilliant. We've known Mark a long time. He actually came and played for us at Burton at the end of his career.
Yeah.
So we've known him a long time, and he's done well wherever he's been. And he got back in at Coventry. He's taken them now from League Two to the brink of the Championship, although hopefully they'll vote to cancel the season and we'll all start afresh next year. That's the only sensible way forward.
Good lad, well said, Nigel.
That's the only thing that will scupper your plans. Cancellation's the only way forward.
We will take whatever's coming down the line with sporting integrity. No question about that.
It might give you time to get a ground sorted anyway.
I love it.
That's also another very good point, to be fair.
Very good
that
point.
Makes Mark's achievements all the better for me.
Yeah.
I am talking about yourself, about British coaching.
Yes.
I'm a great advocate.
Yeah, me too.
That our boys, Andy, are as good as anybody
Get
else.
a chance,
There is
yeah.
no foreign coaching manual that the boys from overseas have read that our guys haven't. So I
Yeah.
don't understand that.
No.
So we wish him well, Mark. And also yourself, Nigel. I can't imagine that you're thinking you're finished with it.
No, not at all. No, we're just waiting for one or two jobs hopefully to come up. The nature of the game is that there will be jobs available, we hope, in the next 6 months. Not sure where or when, but there's a lot of good managers at the moment because nobody's losing any games.
Yeah, that's fair. A lot of managers have had very good Saturdays.
Well, if
yeah.
as and when we get going again in real time and you're not working, we would very much like to see you back here. I must just share this story with you. When Nigel remembers this better than anybody else, but such is the character of the guy. We'd arranged for him to come and see us here. Got the job at Burton on the Monday, and taking it, explained to the chairman, look, I've got a booking in Qatar Saturday. I'll have to fulfil that. So the first game that was played when he went back to Burton,
Yeah.
the manager was sat with us whilst the coaching staff were in charge of the football match. Thank goodness they won.
It's the only time in my life I've been panicking for 90 minutes about a Burton Albion result. But you did win.
You've got to have good coaching staff.
One thing you mentioned to me, Nigel, when we fixed this up, you said it's 40 years this year since the Hamburg match for Nottingham Forest.
Really? Wow.
That is extraordinary,
Wow.
isn't it?
It is, yeah, absolutely flown by. There's been a bit of coverage over here, and it's been nice sort of reading about it again.
Yeah.
Incredible achievement. And I was watching some old stuff after they played the semi-final against Ajax, and they won away. And Peter Taylor did some press afterwards, which is absolutely priceless. Brian Moore pointing out to him that playing Hamburg, and that would mean Kevin Keegan. He said straight away, he said, "I'm looking forward to meeting him." He said, "I'm looking forward to seeing him." He said, "I think Kenny and Larry are as well."
There you go. Brilliant. Brilliant.
Within 10 minutes of the semi-final, he'd already started a step towards winning the final. And he says,
brilliant.
Kenny Burns and Larry Lloyd, I'm sure they're looking forward to meeting Kevin as well.
Put it into context for us. We had this conversation, Andy and myself, earlier in this series of programmes when I argued that your old fella, as good as there was, and arguably the best that Britain has ever produced. My argument, Nigel, was that, of course, you can't dispute Alex Ferguson's achievements.
No.
Magnificent. But your old fella did it at a country football club, and he did it with nothing. 2 European Cup triumphs for a football club that just weren't fashionable. And I had to
he
think,
didn't do bad at Derby either.
well, he did brilliantly at Derby, but given the circumstances and the resources, who knows? Did that ever frustrate him?
I think he would have liked to crack somewhere at one of the really big clubs, certainly. But the England job frustrated him more, I think, because that was the pinnacle. And that was the one that he wanted more than, I think, another club job.
Yeah, and of course got close, but there's the famous story of
The Blazers.
Yeah, the Blazers, and I think he corrected one of the committee about his dress code.
Yeah.
On the way into the interview, which didn't necessarily go down very well.
No.
It would probably never have worked.
It would have been wonderful to see, Nigel. It would have been wonderful to see.
Did you in any way take inspiration from him when you thought about becoming a coach yourself?
I wouldn't say inspiration, because he told me at a very early age as a player that I was never going to be as good as him. I would never score as many goals as him.
God, you wouldn't.
And then 20 odd years ago, when I went to be player manager at Burton, I obviously followed suit. And as a manager, you're never going to do anything.
Yeah.
I can't think that was for any reason other than motivation. Though, surely.
Motivation.
Well, maybe not.
Confidence boosting.
Yeah. Good luck at Burton.
Yeah,
good luck at
I'm not
Burton,
sure
son.
about
But don't ever think you'll be as good as me. Yeah, I know.
Exactly. We once did an interview, and the interviewer sort of turned and said, "I'll just ask Nigel a question first." And when the interview finished, he said, "You don't ever do that again. Don't ever go at me some first."
Do you know what I wanted to ask you that? So then, with you and your dad being so close, working under him for what was it, six years at Forest as a player? 6, 7?
No, it was about 9 years. 9 years.
So you then leave to join a giant football club in Liverpool. What was that? What was the pressure like that was relieved, opposed to the pressure you sort of faced becoming a Liverpool player?
Good point.
Yeah, it was totally different all of a sudden. Obviously, after 9 years, then everybody's used to it, playing under your dad and everything. So it got easier as the time went on, certainly, because the first thing you have to do is prove yourself to your teammates and prove yourself to everybody else. Once you've achieved that to a certain degree, it gets a little bit easier. But going to Liverpool was a different challenge again, because they were going through some changing times with Graham in charge. He was trying to bring it up to date and change quite a lot of things. The old guard, he was sort of trying to ease out and bring a fresh new team through with likes of Robbie Fowler and Steve McManaman and old people like that, Jamie Redknapp. So there was a lot of sort of, not turmoil, but it was just a changing time at Liverpool. So it was a completely different challenge to the stability that we'd had at Forest for 9 years.
I always thought it was a bit like Eric Morgan and Andre Previn. Eric knew where all the notes were, but not necessarily in the right order. I think Graham was doing all the right things at the wrong time. Do you agree?
Yeah, definitely. There was a lot of resistance to what he was trying to do, I think.
From the older players,
developing Mel Woodley.
You mean Nigel? You mean from the older lads?
Yes, yeah, and also from people around the club, because Liverpool have been so successful for so long, and there was a lot of people who didn't want to change it. It was things like, remember, they used to drive to Anfield and get changed there, and then get bus down to the training ground. You know, that was before, and things like that. And he wanted to develop the training ground because of the experience in Italy. And you look at, he was ahead of his time in lots of ways, because you look at what they've all done now, and they've all developed these magnificent training facilities.
Yeah, he was in that respect.
Yeah.
What was it like being called Cloughy or Nigel rather than the centre forward? Must have been confusing at different times.
And the number 9.
Yeah, the number 9.
Andy will know that, the number 9 or the centre forward.
Number 9.
Well, people would sort of shout your name, and you didn't turn around because you didn't recognise it. It's in the dressing room if somebody was talking to you. You weren't sure if they were talking to you or not, but it was it was just different. It was a great experience. Playing for Liverpool was an incredible experience, as was working for my dad for 9 years.
I was going to say, Nigel, I know it was going through turmoil. Can you imagine, did it ever cross your mind, even thinking back now, that it would be close on 30 years before that club was in the brink of winning the title again? I mean, it must have been beyond you thinking that.
Definitely. For Man U to dominate as they did, and then obviously Man City to come through and do it, it was beyond. Even then, in the early 90s, the pressure was on then. Everyone was talking about, we've got to win the title, got to win the title, you know, and Liverpool hadn't won it for just a few years. Never mind 30. So I think it's going to be a bit strange without the supporters there for them, but it shouldn't take away from the achievement. First time for 30 years, incredible.
It is remarkable, unthinkable. And I was around at that time, of course, as well. And in fairness, I was one of Graham's critics for 2 years. We didn't necessarily have the closest of relationships, but things I'm pleased to say have settled down the years. On that subject, I'm going to stick my neck out here and ask for an answer, if you could. Why did your old fella fall out with Peter Taylor?
I think it was over, John Robertson as much as anything. I think Peter went back into work at Derby when he'd said to me, Dad, he was retired and done, and then he was tempted back in at Derby. And then I think John Robertson ended up signing for him one season and there was no communication, he didn't tell him. My dad thought that because of the relationship over the years, it should have been a phone call out of courtesy from him or from John to say, listen, yeah, I'm going down the road, and I think that's what upset him. And you know, once he got upset, it wasn't a pretty place to be at times. And he said one or two stupid things as he did over the years, you know. But that was one of the major regrets when Peter died. That they should have got back together. They should have, you know, it was too close, and we should have done something about it, as me and Simon and maybe Peter's son, you know, and just got them together in a room, not told them, even kidnapped them, put them in a room together, and said, "Listen, you're too close for so many years. It shouldn't end like this." And that was one. But you never think it's going to happen. You never think somebody's going to die, and then when Peter did, it was too late.
Yeah, I have to say I felt it, and I've no idea why. It was just, I suppose, because the two of them had been so close down the years, it should not have come to the scenario it did, should it, really?
Yeah, incredible relationship, honestly, incredible relationship. It was almost telepathic at times, what they did, and it just worked. There was some sort of formula, some sort of magic there. On their own, they were pretty good, but together, something special.
They were
Who are you talking about now?
Who?
I thought you were talking about us.
Oh, yeah. Well, if that was that telepathic, I'd have known what you were going to say there.
That's also true. There's the proof then that it doesn't always work. Nigel, unfortunately, time has beaten us, but I say this, I repeat what I have done every day with people that have been kind enough to join us. Thank you so much for spending time with us. Great to see you. I hope that we can get you to come and join us here prior to your re-employment, but if a job comes first, then we understand.
Absolutely. Thanks for your company, Nigel. Enjoyed it.
That'd be great. That'd be lovely. And if I get a job and we're booked in, I'll still come and see you.
I know you will. And
exactly. And by the time you get there, have a shave though before you get here, would you please, son?
I will do just for you.
Thanks, pal.
Nigel, thanks very much.
Thanks, Nigel.
Nigel Clough.
Thanks, gentlemen.
Absolutely brilliant. And a victim, Andy, to go back to where we started, of the problems that the EFL clubs find themselves with at the moment.
Yeah,
it's really concerning.
It's hugely concerning, particularly the leagues we're talking about, Leagues 1 and 2 there. I think, Nigel's probably right, the Championship probably will be okay, and they probably have the resources to start again. But for Leagues 1 and 2, with the lack of finance down there, Richard, it's, I mean, for
well, 2's done. 2 have said we're finished.
Yeah, I
don't understand why 1 haven't just said, so
well, why do you
let's
think
just call it.
why do you think?
I don't know. I have no idea why. I just don't get it. But perhaps the key is what Nigel said. There's a lot of people out there at the moment with self-interest at heart.
Yeah.
And I think, by the way, that's never changed. It's just that this current situation has brought it into focus to a far greater degree. Yeah,
it's magnified.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So, any thoughts on the rectangular slice that you think we're going to see this tomorrow?
Oh, I'll show you exactly what I mean with the shape of it tomorrow. It will be here tomorrow.
Okay.
Whether it's cooked or not remains to be seen, but I think we'll probably have to cook it.
Right, okay.
Yeah. But it's one of our good friends, obviously, who's in the background here, who's a very good chef.
Colin
Loves his cooking. You know, he's master chef. So he's put this together overnight.
Well, he's probably Muck Master Chef, isn't he?
He is Muck Master Chef, yeah.
Thank you also for your company.
Yeah.
We're back here tomorrow. Another very interesting guest tomorrow. Shan't say any more than that, but one of the movers and shakers of the game over the last 25 years, been right at the heart of the decision-making process for football.
Yes, and stay safe, everyone.
See you tomorrow.